Talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, August 4th. I'm Tori here with Professor Al in his velvet jacket.
It's corduroy. Is that velvet? Do you think if I have a velvet jacket on, that wouldn't be the first thing I yelled when I walked into the room? I have a velvet jacket on, y'all.
You look great.
Bow down.
Bow down. Bow down. All right, you look fantastic. You need like a smoking pipe and like a war novel, and you'll be perfect.
There we go. All right.
Lindsay joins us from home. Lindsay, how are you doing, my love?
Listen, Al, corduroy is top tier, okay? You're very regal right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
And it's
appreciate
in like a
that.
deep navy blue. Like, you look great.
All right. Thank you.
All right, getting started.
Self-esteem boost.
Little self-esteem boost. And all of you out there, you all look good too. Huh?
Now, why do you have to give it to them just because you gave it to me? Yeah,
I diluted it. I'm sorry. Let's get to the news here. Teachers and some students took to the streets. They were protesting school reopening plans in cities across America, including New York and Chicago. Many brought some props to illustrate their message, including coffins and body bags. A number of polls show people wanting schools to reopen, but many think holding in-person classes will not be safe amid the pandemic. We got word from Georgia that their largest school district has just found out they have about 260 kids that are tested positive, and this was the school day the other day. You see kids without masks. It's today, it's not mandatory. In YMCA in Georgia, we have 74% of the summer camp they had to close down, all came down with fevers, and they regret doing it. I get tired of talking about this, but do you think the props kind of helped anything, Al?
No.
That's a
no.
fair answer.
I don't. I mean, Lindsay, Tori,
fair.
when have teachers ever done or asked for anything where there hasn't been pushback? I always say, watch out for anytime somebody calls you a hero, because they're about to ask you to do something that they wouldn't do. We ask it of our servicemen, men and women. We ask it of our teachers. Anytime somebody calls you a hero, they're about to underpay you and ask you to do something that they wouldn't do. Because we all know there's a lot of private schools that won't be reopening. We look at our colleges and universities; those are now online this year. So why are public schools opening? Because we want to get parents back to work. This has nothing to do with kids. It for dang sure doesn't have to do with the teachers. And we are going to lose teachers because of this. Am I speaking from a place of a little bit of bias? Yes, I taught middle school for 5 years. I understand what those teachers go through. And to go ask them to do this, on top of Lindsay, let's hope some of those teachers are also armed. Remember that?
Yeah, we also
remember when teachers were supposed to be doing tactical training as well?
Lindsay, I have a question for you. Thank you, Al. Speaking from a middle school teacher, you have every right to speak like that. Al, Lindsay, there's a Texas man that died, and there's an obituary that's going viral. I don't know if you've seen it.
I saw it.
You saw it, and on the last few sentences there, it says, a statement issued by the family declared that Dave did everything he was supposed to do, but you did not. Shame on all of you, and may karma find you all. And we're seeing more and more of these obituaries. Is the name of the day is preventable deaths.
Right. I think that obviously leaving those last words shows that, unfortunately, the family was very upset, and also rightfully so, because, a lot of people, and we've been saying, luckily enough, we had Dr. Coley telling us from the beginning, this is very serious, this is very serious. So even when people caught wind later, I think everybody understands now that you have to protect other people, and doing so or not doing so is just really putting people's lives in jeopardy. And so I think to lose a family member when you didn't have to, he also said that he wished there was a better national response. So I think all these reasons are not good enough for people losing their lives when they could have lived happy, healthy lives had we handled this properly.
There's nothing worse than a preventable death. I agree with you completely. Let us know what you guys are thinking. And if you're teachers, we would really love to hear from you. Well, a lot of you are talking about a new interview with the president. He spoke with HBO's Axios about the coronavirus pandemic, saying the crisis is under control. But the president and national political correspondent Jonathan Swan got into a bit of an argument over some of the statistics. So take a look.
The United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
Lower than
What is that?
Europe.
In what?
Look.
In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad.
Well,
much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
you can't do that. You have
Why
to go,
can't I do that?
You have to go by where. Look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases.
Why
are
not
there.
as a proportion of
When we have
population?
While the president is claiming the crisis is under control, many of the leading infectious disease experts disagree. Dr. Deborah Birx warns the virus is now, quote, extraordinarily widespread and worse than in March or April. Al, what do you think of the interview?
I watched it, I listened to it twice while I was getting ready this morning, and it was, quite frankly, Linz and Tori, it was just hard to understand. I've given hundreds of interviews as a comic. I've interviewed hundreds of people on this show, and it was difficult to follow. And I look, and it's strange. It made me think about being a teacher, Lindsay, because what if you came to me as the principal of my school and said, Mr. Jackson, your 35 students all are at below statewide testing level. And I said, well, Lindsay, that's because I'm giving them so many tests. That's why they're getting Fs. Let's just cut down the testing and they'll get less Fs. That's the exact same concept that we're going with. If the reason we have so many people that are reported as sick is because we're testing so much. The question is, why don't we have measures in place to make sure that the people aren't sick? That's where we should start the conversation, not the fact that we're testing a lot. We should be finding less and less cases because we should be following guidelines.
And we're going to be talking to Dr. Coley about, oh, no, we're not. We're going to be talking about that in a later show if you want to follow us online about all this. But, Linz, did it feel like somehow a bit of like an old Daily Show interview or like a mockumentary a little bit? And just the way it was even edited was like, bum, 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 ba-da-da. It felt very like Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know what I'm saying?
The conversation on the barometer of who's doing worse, like why is that like something that we're touting? I don't know that we want to name other countries that are doing worse than us in handling this. I think when you look at the numbers, so like let's take Germany, for example, one of the countries that the president was citing. So they have in new cases about 1,000 a day, and we're at about 60,000 new cases a day. And I understand that we're testing probably a lot more, but it's still like we don't want to be at that number. So we shouldn't be happy that we continuously getting more people contracting the virus when we don't have a federal initiative that's making people stay inside, which is what we really need.
Yeah, and I think we just saw the obituary that says that. Gerald Butler says, wishing things away is not a plan. Wishing things away doesn't absolve the reality that this pandemic is going on.
And let me say this really quickly, Tori. I don't think the American people are stupid. I don't think the American people are, living in this pie in the sky thing where we're just going to get rid of this disease and we're going to lead the world. I think I speak for almost everybody. If it was just commensurate with where the rest of the world is proportionally, I think we'd be like, this is a bad situation. We're trying to have a realistic positive outcome. It's not going to be zero, but let's not have it be 60,000 a day.
Let's not deny reality.
Right, exactly.
And I think whether or not you like the president's message or not, I thought Jonathan Swan
this has nothing to do with him.
Right, I thought the reporter did a very nice job in getting to some of those questions you don't always get to with this president. Well, we need to talk about there's a new viral video of a stolen car mix-up right here, right near us in Aurora, Colorado. So the video shows a group of children ages 6 to 17 years old laying on the pavement in a parking lot. Some are screaming for their mother. The 17-year-old and 12-year-old were handcuffed. A woman on the other side of the car is being led away in handcuffs. But let's tell you what really happened. The police had stopped the wrong car. The vehicle reported missing was a motorcycle from Montana with the same license plate number but the wrong state. The Aurora Police Department has apologized in this statement, with the police chief saying she called the family to apologize and to offer any help we can provide, especially for the children who may have been traumatized by yesterday's events.
May have been.
A 6-year-old down on the ground is usually going to have some trauma there. Linz, do you think the officers regretted this, knowing not only what is right and wrong, but the climate we're in? You kind of see them like realizing at the end of the video that we got this a little out of control. What do you think about that?
Well, they're looking for a motorcycle, so stopping a car with the wrong state license plate is really frustrating. And to know that a 6-year-old was in handcuffs is something that Al and I talk about all the time when you have black kids that are now traumatized. And so for the Aurora Police Department to offer therapy when the damage is already done is not helpful. And I want to tell you guys a story because I think that a lot of people don't understand how often this happens. I have a 26-year-old little brother who got in a car accident within the last month. He was T-boned by another car. And yes, the accident might have been his fault, and he had a big bruise on his face. and the police took him to the precinct, bleeding out of his face, rather than the hospital. And this happened to my little brother within the last month. And so when I'm watching this video and watching it happen over and over again, people better not be confused about why we're screaming Black Lives Matter, because what's going on now is really disgusting, and it's not stopping at any rate.
Wow. I didn't know that about your brother. I'm so sorry to hear about that. And I completely agree with you. Al, what is your response to that?
You know, a lot of people are going to be saying that they're following protocol. But again, what we have constantly in this country is people not finishing the sentence. They're following protocol, comma, but they're following protocol for the wrong thing. Tori, if I come up to your house with a cement mixer and dump it through your front window, and I say I'm following protocol for a new house foundation, you say, I've never called about this, who are you? Yes, both can be true.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I'm following protocol, and you didn't call for anybody to build a new foundation in your home. So when you hear these excuses, always remember, form in your mind, what's the second half of that sentence? Because the way that they trick you, the way that they get you, is that they tell you the first half. The first half is true. The other magic trick is, what's the other part over here? They were following protocol for a stolen motorcycle, not a car.
Yeah, there seems to be a huge lack of common sense in all of this, and morality, in my opinion. Let us know what you think. Lindsay, do not go away. Coming up on DBL, there's a big Bachelorette shakeup. We'll tell you why Claire Crawley is reportedly being replaced by Tayshia Adams and why it's a historic choice. And a reminder that we here at DBL, we are committed to helping get rid of COVID. That's why the majority of our staff are working from home. We'll be right back. First time, welcome back to DBL. For the first time in Bachelor franchise history, I'm excited about this story. The Bachelorette has bailed mid-season. Bum, bum, bum. Claire Crawley has reportedly left the show after finding love 3 weeks into taping. So she's going to be replaced by Tayshia Adams, who competed for Colton Underwood's heart on The Bachelor. The show will apparently start with Claire's story and then pivot to Tayshia. But it's sort of unclear whether she will be dating the same guys as Claire or if she gets a whole new crop of men. I feel weird just saying that sentence. And as we told you before, Matt James was selected to be the first Black Bachelor, meaning that for the very first time in franchise history, both shows will have Black
Picture's embarrassing.
leads. What was that picture?
I don't know.
That was a bad
Looks
picture.
like, yeah.
He was in front of like a sandcastle.
Yeah.
Look at me. What do you think of the shakeup of the Bachelor bubble, Linz? Are you a Bachelor fan, Bachelorette?
Honestly, no, but I'm trying to figure out if she's about to get sloppy seconds, because what is that? Like, somebody turns down all these men, picks her husband, and then you just get my leftovers? What is that?
I feel like it's a little unfair to be like, here, Tasha, take the rest.
Hey, look, it's a bunch of guys. They cleared it, so it must be pretty decent.
For someone else.
I'm more like, who's the man that pulled the Bachelorette 3 weeks in? Like, that dude had some game, because she was on her way to being super famous, and she was like, I'm good with this one.
Not only that, they were allowed to talk, I believe, because of COVID a little bit more to each other before. They fell deeply in love. I think there's rumors they're engaged already. And she was like, I mean, what kind of game does that guy have?
Hey, he pulled her.
Hey.
Good on them.
Hey.
I'm just trying not to get fired.
She just said,
I'm gonna
forget
leave
the
everything
show.
to her. We're gonna have a show Wednesday.
That's true. But you're right. She gave it all up for love.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's worth it. Coming up on DBL, a daughter honors her mother after she lost her battle with COVID-19, while she's putting her state's governor on blast in a very honest obituary. We'll be right back.
On July 4th, after battling COVID-19 for just 1 week, Isabel Odette Hilton Papadimitriou rejoined her heavenly family and gained her wings. Like thousands of others marked by COVID, she should still be alive today. Her undeserving death is due to the carelessness of politicians who undervalue healthcare workers through lack of leadership.
More preventable deaths. Well, you just heard Fiona Tulip reading part of the honest obituary she wrote for her mom, Isabel Papadimitriou. Her mom spent 30 years as a respiratory therapist before dying of COVID-19 last month. Earlier, Sam spoke with Fiona, who has a very important message for all of us. Take a look.
Fiona Tulip, thank you so much for joining us here at DBL. I can't even imagine what you must be going through, but I am sending you so much love. Why don't we start by you telling myself and all of our viewers a little bit about your amazing mom?
It's true, she was amazing, and she's truly left an impact on all of our hearts. My mom was a very caring, compassionate soul. People have been coming out and talking about she was the first one to call them on their birthday, or she was the first one to call whenever they were going through a hard time. She's always going above and beyond, and I don't know how she had the time, let me tell you, because she was there for me and my brother at every step of the way. But it seems like she was there for a lot of other people too.
Yeah, what a thoughtful and selfless woman that she was. When your mom got sick, she started keeping a very detailed journal. Can you tell us about that?
When I found out she was sick, she said, I'm keeping note of everything. I thought she meant in her head, but no, she kept a very detailed journal of all of her symptoms. So from the start, have a fever, I feel dizzy, I'm feeling lightheaded today. Today was a better day. My son brought me a sandwich, I could barely eat it. So she noted everything. You know, she even noted how hard it was for her to find a testing site. She spent 2 days trying to find a testing site. We have all the details of her last week, which was very, very hard to read, but it's very helpful too, because there were no signs that, you know, she was in real danger. We really thought that she would come out of this.
How terrifying, and how I would be so angry knowing that it took her so long to finally find a testing site. In fact, you wrote an honest obituary for your mom, saying Texas Governor Greg Abbott's lack of leadership during this pandemic caused her death. And then you invited him to your mom's funeral, and he did not come, but let's say he had showed up. What would you have said to him?
I would have been gracious, but I would have been honest. You know, I think people are dying due to, you know, his leadership and his policies. And I believe in my heart that these deaths are preventable. And that's why I wanted to speak out with him, and for him to see that there are people behind the numbers. My mom's life mattered, and she didn't deserve to die alone in the hospital. She didn't deserve to not, you know, see her kids before she left this earth. And I just wanted him to see that she mattered, that we matter, the great state of Texas mattered.
What do you want people to know about this virus, and especially about your mom's story?
I want people to know that the virus, it is real and it's alive, and it is so easily spreadable, and we don't know enough about it. So because of that, it's important to wear a mask. It's 15 minutes out of your day. It may be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's even more uncomfortable to have a ventilator down your throat. And it's not so much about protecting yourself from catching the disease. It's about protecting others, and it's about protecting the health care workers who are doing their best to save our lives. You know, they're scared too. They don't have the option to stay home and Netflix and chill. They have to show up to work. We need to protect them because they're working so hard to protect us.
I do believe by you speaking out that you'll change someone's mind, and therefore you'll save a life, or maybe more lives than you can even imagine.
I really hope so, and thank you for giving me the platform to share, because she meant so much to me.
For those of you looking to help Fiona and her family, they have set up a GoFundMe to help with the unexpected funeral costs. You can go to gofundme.com/Isabel Papa Memorial Fund. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Promotion.
Welcome back to DBL. We all know 7 to 8 hours of sleep is crucial, but it's not always easy. So we're talking about the best ways to function on limited sleep in today's Rise and Thrive, sponsored by SoClean. I know a lot of you understand that. First, try a 20-minute power nap to reset your brain and spark some energy. If you can't take a nap, strategize which tasks you can do, avoid the ones that require creativity and innovation. And if you're really struggling at night, try sleeping apart from your partner. Your partner's troublesome sleeping or annoying bed habits can negatively impact your sleep and increase that stress hormone, cortisol. When it comes to your sleep, for more ways to rest easy, go to SoClean.com or call 1-800-679-4182. Always love seeing those two in heaven.
Yeah.
Love those. All right, Lindsay, we got some great comments. Patty Parsons Ledoux says, I'm an educator of 38 years. First of all, thank you, Patty. Al, thank you for your words. And Katie Carson says, Al, I love you. I love how blunt you are. Keep speaking your mind, please. And Lindsay, Cheryl Galvez says, since when do you automatically handcuff anyone until they have been thoroughly checked out? We have been stopped before and we were not instructed to even get out of the car. This was a horrible injustice, especially because they were young. Do you have a quick comment on that?
I mean, it is. I have the video of my little brother. It's not a lie. So it's just disgusting. I'm exhausted by it.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. DBL, we are new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.